Sandesh Gulhane, to be followed by Jackie Bailey.
Thank you. First Minister, the Scottish people are struggling under the restrictions that are in place, some of which have been in place for a long time. But we all appreciate that COVID necessitates some restrictions. But what information does the Scottish Government base its decisions upon? We simply don't know. And so to help the people better understand, and in terms of transparency, will you commit to publish weekly, ahead of the announcement, all the data the Cabinet bases its decisions upon?
First Minister.
We've published acres of data and evidence. We will continue to do that. But I come back to the point, the data and the evidence doesn't make the decisions, they inform the decisions. Look, I would hazard a guess that the member, who I know is a clinician himself, is in a minority of clinicians right now who don't think, or who think that no protective measures are required. Indeed, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, many countries across Europe and the world are all in a similar place in some proportionate but necessary protections to try to stem, even to some extent, the rise in cases. And what is the rationale behind that? We know, particularly with Omicron, given its greater transmissibility and infectiousness, that large-scale events have the potential to quickly become super-spreading events, which is why we have, regrettably, put a temporary restriction on large events. We know that the kind of environments in hospitality where people come together, often poorly ventilated, with alcohol, lowering inhibitions, also raises risk of transmission, particularly with a greater transmissible variant. So that's the rationale for the particular targeted measures we have in place. We know from evidence that face coverings help, perhaps more than many other measures, reduce transmission. So actually, and I would expect somebody clinically qualified probably to understand this better than most, that all of these targeted measures that are in place right now are in place in many, many other countries, and all of them flow from our understanding of how a virus spreads, and in particular, given its greater transmissibility, the risks that the spread of Omicron presents.
Before I move on to take Jim Fairley, I have a point of order from Sandesh Gulhane. Mr. Gulhane.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I seek your clarification as to the fact that the First Minister completely misrepresented my position. At no point have I ever been against all restrictions. At no point have I ever been doing the things that I have been accused of, and that was absolutely not my question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gulhane. That is not a point of order, but your comment has obviously been recorded.